That's my baby. I'm dying.
That's my baby.
We're going at it at 110%.
I just want 5 minutes of happiness, please. Just give me 5 minutes.
And they scored! They did it!
Left, feet left.
What the hell was that? Oh, yeah!
What the fuck are you talking about?
Good evening, everyone. Live here, exclusively on A2D Radio. We are the Sports Hounds. Monday night. He's Brad Ryer. I'm Rob Brinkman. Frank Vesby producing. As always, we're brought to you by Dr. Paul Vidal at Specialized Physical Therapy. 2 convenient locations in Burlington and Cherry Hill. He's our doc. Make him yours too. Program also brought to you by Body Check Wellness, line of products that promote wellness, balance, and recovery using the full potential of health. They come in extracts, blends, gummies, and topicals. Use promo code A2D, 20% off. We got a big show tonight. We got live reactions, March Madness. Half the Final Four will be determined tonight. Houston, Oregon State playing right now. Arkansas, Baylor, the nightcap. That should be an awesome game.
That'll be a beauty.
Baylor favored by 8. I'm not sure what the line is on this game right now. Got to think Houston would be a favorite here. Oregon State trying to be the first 12 seed to make the Final Four in the tournament's history. We got some draft talk. The Eagles are moving.
James Madison wasn't a 12 seed?
No. I think they were 13 or an 11.
Oh, okay. No, I'm just asking. Because I remember they were very good.
Yeah, 12. This would be the lowest seed, I believe, ever to make the Final Four if Oregon State were to win.
That would be unbelievable.
Picked 9th in their conference, barely got in, won the Pac-12 tournament, and now they might go to the Final Four. Houston's a very good team, so we'll see how it plays out. Houston up 5-2 in the early going, and Baylor is loaded. Arkansas is loaded. That should be a heavyweight fight. That should be getting going right after we go off the air there around 9:30, 9:45. We got NFL draft talk. We got moving and shaking. We got the Eagles, Howie Roseman being Howie Roseman per usual. The Dolphins are moving. The Niners are moving. We're going to talk about it. We got NHL, Flyers, Sabres, Islanders, Penguins. We got a full slate in the NHL. Low gambling pick. I love the Wild tonight. They're on the road in San Jose. I think they're a better team than San Jose. I think the Wild get it done tonight. You gamblers out there. Pound the Wild. That's my play of the night because I don't like any of these. I don't like any of these basketball games. I'm staying away.
Tell you what,
I'm staying away.
Biggest game at Madison Square Garden probably in years, as the Knicks take on the Heat.
Oh, that's reminiscent of some early '90s basketball there with Van Gundy and Pat Riley.
Still a lot of hate towards Miami.
Yeah, Lonzo Mourning, Patrick Ewing. You had the 2 Georgetown centers.
Yep.
John Starks was always a spark plug. Tim Hardaway, obviously a huge spark plug. So, I mean, yeah, that's a big one in the guard. We'll keep you updated on that as well. MLB Opening Day, Thursday. So we'll give you our official predictions for MLB. We've kind of been doing some division previews as we go through. We get sidetracked a little bit here and there with March Madness and the other things. We talk about it all here. Philly, not Philly, New York, not New York. All the sports right here on the Sports Hounds, exclusively on A2DRadio.com. We are live on Facebook. We're live on YouTube, Twitter, Periscope. Download, stream us, podcast form, Spreaker, Spotify, Google Play, iTunes, iHeartRadio. Complete takeover talk. A2D Radio is absolutely everywhere. If you're listening on YouTube, close that chat out. Hit that like button. Get to your comments soon. Let's get to our poll question brought to you by Philly Drinkers LLC. Get all your cool A2D merchandise at phillydrinkers.com. Click on the A2D Radio collection. Get all your stuff there. But Brad, poll question tonight. The Philadelphia Eagles were smart to trade back in the NFL draft. Hashtag agree it. Hashtag disagree it. I'm going to lead off because this trade is absolute slop. I don't understand it at all. It's just a coward GM who doesn't believe in yet another highly drafted potential franchise quarterback. You already ruined Carson. traded him for a bag of peanuts, and he's going to do really well there in Indianapolis. Now you're telling Jalen Hurts that you don't believe in him either, because the only reason, Brad, you accumulate assets the way Howie Roseman is accumulating assets is because you don't believe in your franchise quarterback, and you're trying to accumulate enough assets to obtain your franchise quarterback. I fully expect the Eagles to be active on draft night. I fully expect them to be attempting to go up to number 4 with Atlanta or number 2 with the Jets to go grab one of these quarterbacks. And if it doesn't happen this year, it'll happen next year. Because I don't believe in Jalen Hurts. Howie Roseman doesn't believe in Jalen Hurts. Probably half the fan base doesn't believe in Jalen Hurts. And now Lurie and Roseman, the brain trust that believed in Jalen Hurts enough to trade Carson Wentz away for nothing, for conditional picks with caveats on them. I just don't get it. I just don't get it. You move behind. You finish dead last in the worst division in NFL history. You move back in the draft. You're picking behind Dallas. You're picking behind New York now. Miami comes out smelling like a rose because they're still going to get their playmaker to help their franchise quarterback, Tua Tagovailoa. That's the Dolphins are a perfectly run organization right now, and they were a poorly run
example. They are the example right now of doing it the right way, and the Eagles just, it seems like, are the example of doing everything the wrong way.
But don't you see? Okay, we kind of nursed you along, Tua. We benched you a couple times when it wasn't going. We went with Fitzmagic and a couple 2-minute drills. But you know what? Fitzmagic, he's in Washington, and they bring in Jacoby Brissett, but he's no competition for Tua Tagovailoa. You go out, you sign Will Fuller. You move back in the draft with the Niners. Then you go right back up with the Eagles. You're still going to get Jamar Chase, Devontae Smith, or Kyle Pitts to help out your franchise quarterback. That's how you support a franchise quarterback.
Absolutely.
That's how you support a quarterback you believe in that you think can potentially win you Super Bowls in this league. Not being a coward and trading back every chance you get because you might not have your guy. You definitely don't have your guy in Jalen Hurts. How am I supposed to believe in Jalen Hurts when Howie Roseman doesn't believe in Jalen Hurts? And honestly, the fact that Howie Roseman doesn't believe in Jalen Hurts makes me feel better about Jalen Hurts. Because if Howie don't like him, that might tell me that Jalen Hurts might be able to play.
Bad. Maybe he's not.
Because he can't evaluate talent. Brad, I'm so sick of hearing everybody tell me, "Oh, you got it. We need a lot. We need a lot. This isn't a quick turnaround." I get that, and I'd be more like, "What if Carson Wentz was the quarterback, and you move back in the draft? Then I'm all ears. I'm ecstatic."
Well, that's fine because you
have your franchise quarterback. You have your franchise quarterback.
But I mean, basically, they've already given up on this year before the year's even started.
Which I knew that. I know that. You had no cap room to improve the team. And you trade your quarterback, you're developing Hurts. This year was a wash. But there's absolutely no reason why you can't take that extra first-round pick you're going to get for the Colts. And don't tell me it's a conditional pick because Carson Wentz is going to excel there, and it's going to be a first-round pick. It's going to be a late first-round pick because the Colts are going to be playing deep into January.
It'll be a 25. It'll be a 25, but you can get good players at 25.
And then you're going to have your pick, which is going to be a top 10 pick. Because, I mean, if this team wins 3 games next year, I'm throwing a parade myself down Broad Street. An A2D radio parade down Broad Street. 2.5 wins. You go over 2.5 wins next year, we're having a parade. Because there's not much here. And I get that. And if I believe, because you want to give the biggest loser in the NFL more bites at the apple. Why are you giving him more bites at the apple? The last 36 draft picks I saw. 1 Pro Bowler, 0 All-Pros. That's 4 years of drafts, 5 years of drafts. 1 Pro Bowler, 0 All-Pros. And guess what? Guess who the Pro Bowler was, Brad?
That would be Carson, probably.
Carson Wentz. Guess where he plays now? Not for you.
No, he plays for the Indianapolis Colts.
Everybody wants to get excited about all these draft picks, and you got a guy who doesn't know his ass from his elbow when it comes to evaluating talent.
The draft pick for next year. They're not even this season. They're not even this draft. Right? I mean, how many first round picks do they have this year? They went back to 12. All right, so next year they have 2. Maybe
so next year they'll have the Dolphins pick, they'll have their pick, and they'll have what's obviously to me going to be the Indianapolis Colts.
Right. So they're going to have three. They're going to have 3 picks next year. But I mean, you're basically giving up on the season this year, and you know
which
what?
is fine.
Yeah, but you know what? When you move back like that, you're basically giving up getting a star, and that I don't understand. The Eagles need stars. Win in this league. You need to get some stars on the team. The 6th pick is probably one of the highest picks the Eagles have had. I mean, other than when they traded up for Wentz, that's one of the highest picks they've had in a long time. To trade it away and to move back, that's just it's ridiculous. It's a stars league. You've got to get the best players available. The Eagles, this pick should have kept it, and they should have gotten the best player available. It doesn't necessarily have to be a quarterback, but now you're not going to get a star. You know, you're probably going to get a mid-level star at this point. You know, the first 5-6 players picked. You have to remember, you're going to have the quarterbacks picked, and you're going to have defensive linemen, the best defensive linemen, and the best offensive linemen always go early. So, I mean, they were in a prime position where they could have gotten one of those big-time receivers or the tight end. You know, and they went back. They have no shot at getting any of those guys. Trust me when I tell you, the Giants are going to get one. If they're still there when the Giants are picking, Giants are going to pick one of those guys. You know that. Dallas isn't going to get one of those top defensive players either. They may even pick up another receiver. You know, I mean, who knows? It's very possible they could do that. You know, meanwhile, what are the Eagles going to do now? They go all the way back to 12. I mean, I guess they could probably get there's supposed to be a couple of good corners out there that are going to be available at 12. Maybe that's what they get. I mean, I guess if I was picking, I'd be looking for a corner because that's where I think the Eagles really need some help right now.
I don't understand how anybody can look me in the face and tell me wide receiver is not this team's biggest need.
It is, but the problem is they're not going to get Pitts, they're not going to get Smith, and they're not going to get Chase. You know,
and for them to base, like, what did they call the Cincinnati Bengals? All these reports saying that Jamar Chase is going to go fit to the Bengals so he can be reunited with Joe Burrow. What did they call the Bengals, and what did they do? Show them their draft board? It's lying season. Why would you make a trade based on what someone tells you during lion season? It makes no sense.
Yeah, you don't know what any of these guys are going to do. None of these guys are going to be straightforward with you. I mean, you don't know what they're going to do. The Bengals might try to move up, or they might try to move back. You don't know that.
I just don't understand.
Gives them an extra pick this year or next year to get that number 5. You don't think they'll do it? They'll do it in a second. They got their quarterback. Now it's about Now it's about trying to get as many picks as you can. Bengals have their franchise quarterback, or at least they feel that they do. And if I was a Bengal fan, I would feel pretty good about Burrow. I thought he had a pretty good year last year.
Let me read you the Eagles. Let me read you the Eagles' current wide receivers for with a quarterback who's really kind of a project and needs help to develop. Because let's say you're throwing Jalen Hurts out there, you want to see what you got. And how am I supposed to evaluate Jalen Hurts with Jalen Reagor, Greg Ward, John Hightower, Quez Watkins, Khalil Tate, whoever that is, Travis Fulgham, who is a gimmick story. I mean, he played good a couple games, but I mean, Brian, what's Travis Fulgham on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the Kansas City Chiefs? A 5th, 6th receiver? What's Greg Ward on a good team? A 5th, 6th receiver? They're not good. And of course, you have J.J. Arcega-Whiteside. How am I supposed to evaluate Jalen Hurts with that slop? That's slop. And don't tell me that Devontae Smith. I'd be shocked if Devontae Smith lasted the 12 based on the season he had and the national championship game performance that he had.
If he's available at 11, the Giants are going to pick him. I can tell you that right now.
Or he's going to fall so far that he's going to fall past 6, and someone's going to go up and nab him.
Yeah,
someone will move in and get him. Pitts won't be there. that workout and this matchup and positionless football, Pitts ain't going to be there at 12. I wouldn't be ecstatic if they picked him at 6, but I mean, you need guys. You need guys for Jalen Hurts to develop.
You need to get stars. That's the whole thing. You got a better chance of picking a star at 6 than you do at 12.
And if Howie Roseman wasn't the GM of this football team and he showed he had at least a somewhat pulse of the room when it came to evaluating talent, I'd be more open to accumulating picks because this team does need a lot. It does need a lot. It does need a couple of linebackers.
But he hasn't done a very good job drafting the last few years. That's why the Eagles are in the position they're in.
You know, you get Anthony Harris from the Minnesota Vikings. I mean, everyone wants to that's not a different. Doesn't excite me at all. You have Big Play Slay. I mean, he's probably a number 2 cornerback now. I mean, bless his heart. It's really hard to stop receivers like DK Metcalf.
Yeah, it is.
But it's an uphill battle no matter what corner you are. But I mean, Slay's okay.
That's an important position, though. I mean, if I'm the Eagles right now and I'm at 12, I'm trying to get a corner.
Okay, but you have the Cowboys. You have the Cowboys at 10. They're going to pick a corner.
Maybe and maybe not.
Caleb Farley out of Virginia Tech. I'm not touching him with a 10-foot pole. He had back surgery. Recently. So take him off my draft board. I'm not picking him. I'm not picking a 22-year-old that already has a bad back in a physical game like the NFL.
No.
It ain't happening.
No, you're right about that.
Surtain ain't going to be there at 12. Denver's going to pick him. Carolina might pick him. The Giants might pick him. Dallas might pick him.
Had you stayed at 6, you might have had a chance at him. But that's
absolutely.
That's my point, though, Rob. You need stars on your team. That's how you build the team. That's how you end up having a good team. Is drafting the first pick, your first round pick. You got to get stars. You can't be getting guys that are gonna that you're not sure about.
It's just this. We're gonna get to everyone's comments in a second. If you're on YouTube, hit that like button, subscribe, set up your notifications. We got a million shows here, all different times of the day, all week long. Takeover talk. Let's get to some of these comments right now, because I think if you can look me in the face and tell me that you like this trade, you've just kind of I don't know. You're just kind of given up. You're just kind of giving up because Howie's the GM. He's not going anywhere. So you give him more bites at the apple to mess everything up more. Great. If Joe Douglas were still here making these picks, or you had a football guy or a GM that actually listened to football people, then I'm more receptive to this trade. But the main thing that this trade tells me is that the Eagles don't believe in Jalen Hurts as a franchise quarterback. And it's malpractice to trade Carson Wentz in the manner in which they did to take that dead cap hit if you don't believe in Jalen Hurts. I don't understand this move back in the draft. I don't understand. You're handcuffing yourself. This is not a deep draft. I think the previous 2 drafts were much stronger in terms of depth, especially at positions of substance, like offensive line and defensive line in the trenches. Yeah, and by the way, I don't think the trenches are the biggest need for this football team. Eagles got a lot of problems. I can kick the can down the road with my aging offensive defensive line for another year. I need weapons for Hurts. I got to see what I got quickly with Jalen Hurts. Because now you're handcuffed into figuring out what you got with Jalen Hurts if you don't do something stupid and trade up the board and get a quarterback. Mark my words. Howie Roseman is going to be banging on the door of the Jets and banging on the door of the Falcons to try and get up that board to pick a quarterback because he doesn't believe in Jalen Hurts.
You got 4.
Now you're doing the same thing. You're doing the same thing, Brad, that you did to Carson Wentz. You ruined Carson Wentz's psyche because you picked Jalen Hurts too early as an insurance policy. Now you're going to use the 12th pick and maybe more capital move up the board because you don't believe in Jalen Hurts, ruining him. Did they not just learn from what happened with Carson Wentz?
Well, I'm trying to think right now. You got four very good receivers, right? You have a real good tight end, and you've got three receivers. So you got four guys who can catch the ball that are exciting receivers. You've got three quarterbacks, correct?
You got Fields. You got Lawrence is first.
Lawrence,
No one's got. You got Zach Wilson from BYU. You got Josh Fields from Ohio State, and you got Trey Lance from North Dakota State, who's probably going to go in the top 10.
And everybody likes the guy on Alabama. I'm not crazy about him, but a lot of people do like him though. So I mean, that's what, 4 or 5.
There's 5 that.
Okay, so there's 5 top quarterbacks that could be picked in the top 10. There's 4 receivers that could be picked in the top 10. So,
and you're 12.
You're 12th. So if you're thinking, and I'm trying to give Howie the benefit of the doubt here. Maybe the thinking is, if there's 5 quarterbacks and 4 wide receivers that could be picked in the top 12, okay, then are there 3 outstanding offensive or defensive players that could be picked so that the Eagles will have a shot at one of these guys? Now, you're more guy than I am, so that's why I'm asking you. That's really how you have to look at it with regard.
No, because the wild cards. So we just named 9, and
Surtain is going to be in there. So that's
Surtain will be in there.
Yeah, that's 1.
Penei Sewell, the offensive tackle out of Oregon, will be in there, and probably Rashawn Slater, offensive tackle out of Northwestern.
All right, so if those 3 guys and then all the quarterbacks get picked, okay, one of those receivers is going to be available to the Eagles. So maybe that's what he's thinking, but he's taking a big chance there. Miami's not going to take a quarterback.
Well, I don't think Mac Jones is going to be. No, unless it gets really crazy.
But do you think maybe somebody might take him in the top 10?
Maybe I wouldn't take him in the top 10.
You might not, but I'm just saying. But some of these GMs, some GM might really, really like him,
unless there's a trade,
right?
But they could buy. But my contention is the only reason you load up with assets like this is because you don't believe in your franchise quarterback and you're trying to accumulate assets to obtain your franchise quarterback. So the move up the board to get Mac Jones could be the Eagles. The move up the board to 2 to take Zach Wilson could be the Eagles, because I don't buy that Joe Douglas is going to take a quarterback. I don't. That wasn't his MO in Baltimore. They built their roster up. They lucked into Lamar Jackson, and they had Flacco for a lot of years. Joe Douglas is a Baltimore from the Baltimore ilk, and that's how he built the Eagles into a Super Bowl champion, by building the roster around a quarterback. I think the Jets have a quarterback in Sam Darnold. I think Sam Darnold can play. Maybe I'm in the minority there.
Well, everything that could go wrong for Sam Darnold has gone wrong. I mean, he gets mono one year, okay? Last year he gets hurt and then has a horrible offensive line that can't block anybody. Okay? He's had no receivers at all. He had Le'Veon Bell, but Le'Veon Bell just decided that he's going to play not to get hurt anymore. So he was a big bust. I mean, everything that could possibly go wrong for him has gone wrong. So I don't think we've seen the best of Sam Darnold yet. I think Sam Darnold's going to be a good quarterback. I still maintain that. So, but that's what you're looking at. The Eagles can get one of these receivers if all the quarterbacks get picked in the top 10.
But if they take Mac Jones at 12, my brain's gonna short circuit. I don't even know. I can't even get mad at these Eagles. I'm on the truck all day at UPS, and I open my phone Friday and look at this slop trade, because that's what it is. It's slop. It's utter slop. It's a coward move by a coward franchise that's just trying to kick the can down the road to have incompetency keep their jobs. Because when the Eagles go 0-16 next year, which is in the realm of possibilities after this slop trade, because nobody knows what they're doing. There's no clear plan at everything. Jeffrey Lurie has say in the picks. Howie Roseman has say in the pick. And I said at the top of the show, they don't know their ass from their elbow.
Jeffrey Lurie should not have anything to do with these picks.
Well, he does.
I know, but that's a problem. When the owner starts influencing draft picks, that's a problem. I mean,
Taylor Bowers. Yeah, but a lot of these owners they meddle in the first round.
I don't think the Patriots owner does.
No, you're probably right.
I can tell you that the Giants owners don't meddle in their first round picks, and not that the Giants are a recipe for success, because they're not. I'm just making a point.
Well, they kind of are. They have 4 Super Bowls, so kind of are a recipe for success.
The Cowboys owner doesn't stop meddling on the team, and they've won one playoff game in the last 20 years. So
but last year, Dallas would have walked to the playoffs last year if Dak Prescott didn't get hurt.
I would agree with you.
So, I mean, ever since Steven took over for Jerry,
they've been getting better. Yeah, they have.
The picks have been better, and they've made more sense.
Yeah, when the owners start meddling in the picks, and the owners are, unless they are football guys, which they aren't. That's the quickest way to see a team get screwed up. Look at Washington. Dan Snyder has to always stick his 2 cents in, and that team is always doomed. I mean, the only reason they won the division last year is because everybody else basically got hurt.
We got 19 watching on YouTube, 11 likes. Pound that like button, hit that subscribe button, set up your notifications. You set up your notifications every time we go live. You get a notification. We get shows about the Sixers. We get shows about the Flyers. We got shows about the NHL, the MLB, it's soccer. We have a soccer show. We have A2D After Dark. They talk about all kinds of stuff all the time. It's so much fun how many rabbit holes they get under. Set up those notifications. Hop in. Shows that fit every schedule. Let's get to some comments. Taylor Bowers, he's checking us out on YouTube. I know Taylor's hit that like button. I'm so ready to get this draft over with, so I know how bad or good it turns out. And anyone who wants to tell me that I don't have a crystal ball and you're not going to know if these trades work out for 2 years, just stick your thumb up your keister and shut up, because I know that this is a disaster and this isn't going to work, and that they're still QB hunting after spending the second overall pick in 2016 on a quarterback and spending the 53rd pick last year on a quarterback. They still don't have a guy they like. So, I mean, don't tell me you got to wait 2 years to see if this is all going to work out. It's not going to work out. This is utter
news for you. It's going to take at least 3 years, because maybe in 3 years it might work out. 2 years. So you're saying guys that they draft that are rookies are going to be great players. You don't know that. Especially as a rookie. Their first years in the league. Usually when you draft a guy, it takes them a year or two before they break out. They don't usually break out their rookie season. That's rare. I mean, it does happen. I mean, the receiver Minnesota got God bless him, I can't remember his name.
Justin Jefferson, the guy that I sat here and screamed for 4 months.
Yes, you did. I remember how mad you were when the Eagles passed and picked Jalen Hurts, and then they picked Rager, and then
they picked Rager.
They picked Rager, and then Minnesota jumped right in and picked him. I mean, I remember that, and boy, I remember you guys screaming on Facebook about that. I mean, there were a couple of people that were trying to support the pick because he's fast, but being fast doesn't mean shit. If you don't run good routes, then it doesn't matter how fast you are, because when you're with his own defense, it's finding the spot. It's not necessarily always the speed; it's finding the right spot and running a good route. Because
Jerry Rice ran a 4.8. Jerry Rice ran a 4.8 at his combine in 1982 or whenever he got drafted.
Yeah, Jerry
4.8.
Rice was not being fast though. He was faster than that.
But I'm just saying, straight line speed doesn't mean anything.
No, it doesn't.
And stop tweeting about the 4.3, 4.2 40s because they're not real with all these prospects. They're fake news. These 40 times are fake news because they're not laser time. There was no combine. These SIDs lie through their teeth about height, weight, 40 time, cone drills, everything to push their boys up the board so they can get better recruits. So they can say that Caleb Farley didn't win a 4.3. No, he didn't. Micah Parsons did not run a 4.3. Some jabron with a stopwatch is timing him. It needs to be laser time. This is why you need a combine, and there wasn't a combine. So all these 40 times, all these drills, it's fake news. It's fake news. Don't believe any of it. So stop with Micah Parsons running a 4.3.
We got some comments from Darius Slay, by the way. I don't know if you noticed that.
No, what did he say?
He's disagreeing with you. Take a look at the comments.
Darius Slay?
Yeah. I mean, it could be an imposter. Could be an imposter, but
that'd be cool.
Parsons has grown so well when he went to my shop, and he was ranked nationally. And he also played running back and was amazing. He's an all-around athlete.
Okay.
So
great.
We hope so, Darius.
The problem is Howie Roseman doesn't value linebackers. He's never valued linebackers. I don't think he knows what a linebacker is. I would be utterly shocked if they took Micah Parsons at 12. And I don't care that he played running back. Who cares? He's not going to play running back for the Eagles if they pick him at 12. He played running back and linebacker. I don't care. Stupid. Taylor Bowers, I'm so ready for this draft to be over. I think I've read that one already. Don 19 is in the house. Boy, Don 19, your Michigan Wolverines smacking teams up. I faded them hard in my bracket. They're making me look foolish.
Yeah, they're the
You're
one
playing
Big
UCLA.
They're the one Big Ten team that showed up.
Pulled their weight. All the shit talking we did in our bracket preview about the Pac-12, and they have 3 Elite 8 teams. Crazy. Never know what's going to happen in March. It's crazy. It's why it's so much fun. John Malmos, you guys all need to stop. I mean, WTF, all you do is cry. You're not getting your tight end or wide out. I will take Parsons all day, 7 days a week, use next year's first rounds and move up, get a corner. Yeah, that's fine. And I'm not crying about anything. I don't expect anything better from this team. I don't. The way they botched the Jalen Hurts pick, the way they botched the Carson Wentz situations, and now how they botched this trade, and how they're going to botch this draft. Why would you give the biggest nerd in the league more bites at the apple when he doesn't know his ass from his elbow and when it comes to evaluating talent? Ralphie Delavecchio's in the house. We had a Phillies questions here. Emilio checking us out on Facebook. Phillies got no shot again this year. I disagree with that. We're going to do our official MLB predictions later on in the show, but I disagree with that. I'll tell you why later. And Brad, he'll have the whole scoop on the American League for us. Bobby Stevens, Daniel Jeremiah believes Niners traded up for Mac Jones. What kind of madness would the Niners create if they take Mac Jones at 3? That would be not what I would do. But look at their GM. John Lynch has been tremendous.
If John Lynch thinks the guy is going to be a great quarterback, you know what? I wouldn't argue with John Lynch.
No, what?
He's done a good job building that football team. I mean, the only reason they were bad last year is because of all the injuries. I mean, let's be honest.
Yeah, Jimmy G. I mean, he was hurt and he stinks.
Yeah, he isn't that good, but the whole point is he's a lot better than what they had before.
I'll tell you what, that would be a disaster in Eagles land if Mac Jones goes 3rd.
Oh,
because that means Justin Fields will be sitting there at 4 because either Justin Fields or Zach Wilson will be sitting there at 4. And
I think the Justin Fields might be sitting there, but the other guy, I think the Jets might be drafting him. Zach
I mean,
Wilson.
okay, so Justin Fields going to be there at 4. Atlanta doesn't necessarily need a quarterback. Matt Ryan's not the problem there. He can still play. So there's your spot where you move up
They
and you
need
grab Justin
Atlanta.
Fields.
Atlanta's got to do something about their defense. Their defense is just not good enough right now.
And I know it's Lion season, so you take these reports with a grain of salt. But they seem to be liking Pitts a lot, which they don't. What kind of matchup problems can you create with Pitts?
Don't give up the ship yet, Rob, because all these quarterbacks, okay, and there's some pretty good defensive players out there. You might get one of those receivers to be available. Now, whether or not your boy Howie picks one or not, that I don't know. But
he's itching to pick one. He likes somebody a lot. And he's got to convince Jeffrey that Jalen's not the guy, and then they're going to fire away and they're going to get a quarterback. Somehow, some way.
If they can get one of those receivers, okay, at 12, then maybe it wasn't so bad what they did, because then they got their big time receiver, and then next year they can have all these extra picks. But I mean, with all these quarterbacks out there, you put yourself in a position where now you can't get a quarterback. If I were the Eagles, I would have just bitten the bullet and tried to get a quarterback. That's just me. You win by getting a quarterback. The sooner you get a new quarterback in there and have him taking snaps, the sooner you turn things around and become good again.
But Brad, they're going to have to trade up to get a quarterback.
Well, they have the assets to do it now.
But that's slop. That's not what I want.
No, I understand that.
How can you trade Carson Wentz like you trade him and then draft another quarterback when you just took Jalen Hurts in the second round last year?
Well, that was a dumb move. That's the problem. I mean, I'm not supporting Howie. I'm not saying that he did right. All I'm saying to you is you might be able to get yourself a pretty decent receiver, because it looks like there's enough guys ahead of you. The draft looks like it's deep enough in the first round that you might actually be able to get one of those receivers. It may not be the one you necessarily want, but you'll get one of them.
But when you look at the receivers in the draft, there's the 4 we talked about.
Right.
Waddle, Pitts, Devonta Smith, who won the Heisman, and Jamar Chase, who took the year off but was a stud with Joe Burrow on the LSU national championship team.
Right.
After that, there's a significant drop-off in the playmakers. There's not another tight end that's first-round worthy. And then after those 3 receivers, you're looking at guys like Rondell Moore from Purdue, 5'7", no thanks.
No.
Not what we need. Rashard Bateman out of Minnesota.
He's okay, but
what does that do? It gives me no excitement whatsoever. Then you got like Kadarius Toney out of Florida, and there's a couple other guys in the mix there. In that second tier receivers and that third tier receivers, but they're not difference makers. Like you can't trade out of 6 and take one of those guys at 12. Like I totally disagree with anyone who tells me that wide receiver is not the biggest need for this football team.
No, I agree with you about that. I think their offense is very easy to play against right now.
But they have 7 receivers. I mean, they have 7 fourth receivers on this team in a passing league with a young quarterback who isn't a pocket passer, who needs good players around him to make those splash plays like he did at times last year in his 4-game stint as the Eagles' starting quarterback. So, I mean, and here's an interesting comment from Jason Acosta. He's checking us on YouTube. I bet you Jason hit the like button. Did you hit the like button? Close that chat out. Hit the like button. We had 19 earlier watched on YouTube. We had 7 likes. Let's get those numbers up. Let's pump those numbers up. Are they loading up for Watson or Wilson? No. Well, I've cooled on Deshaun Watson. I don't see how anybody can give the farm for Deshaun Watson when he's facing these legal troubles. I mean, at the very least, he's going to be facing a hefty suspension. Because you remember Ezekiel Elliott had no charges filed against him a couple years ago, and he got 6 games. He got 6 games. So Deshaun Watson's is 1,000% getting suspended, which cools me on him. And guess what? Deshaun Johnson, he might go to jail. I mean, this is either the biggest character assassination in the history of character assassinations, or Deshaun Watson's just a scumbag crumb that just disrespects women and is a borderline rapist.
Well,
so I wouldn't be trading for Deshaun Watson. No one's going to be trading for Deshaun Watson.
Let's hope that's not the case. But I mean, I
don't know. I don't know Deshaun Watson. I don't know anything about him other than he's good at football. So, and then Russell Wilson. I mean, Russell Wilson submitted a list to the Seattle Seahawks about teams he would accept a trade to, and the Eagles weren't one of them. So, and if the Chicago Bears offered, 3 first-round picks, a third-round pick, and 2 starters, and the Seahawks still didn't bite, I mean, the 2 starters that the Bears are going to offer would probably be way better than the 2 starters that the Eagles would offer. So if they're not trading him to the Bears, who were on his list, then I don't see the Eagles getting Russell Wilson. So, I mean,
Russell Wilson.
I think that
Russell Wilson's not going to want to go to a team that's losing right now. Russell Wilson's going to want to go. He's going to want to go to the Saints, or he's going to want to go to a team, or the Patriots, or one of those type of teams. He's not going to want to go. He's not going to want to go to the Eagles and start all over again.
And plus, he wants out of Seattle because he's sick of getting hit all the time.
Exactly.
Guess what's going to happen here? He's going to be getting hit all the time, and guess what? He's not going to have DK. He's not going to have DK Metcalf or Tyler Lockett to throw the ball to.
Yeah, he's not going to want to go here. He's not going to come. Not going to want to come here. No question about that.
Build the team and then get your QB, John Malmos. I agree with that. I agree with that. Look, 95% of my hatred for Howie Roseman kicking the can down the road and moving back in the draft behind the Cowboys and behind the Giants is because I don't trust him to draft. If I had a smart GM that knew how to draft, understood value, and understood how to put a roster together, I'd be more open to this. And plus, you look at how this draft sets up. I just don't like this move at all. It's just a coward move by Howie to try and keep his job. So when the Eagles go 3-13, 2-14 next year because they have no talent, he can explain to Jeffrey that, hey, like, we knew this was going to happen. Now I have 3 first-round picks and cap space. More cap space that he can screw up, by the way. Because all I hear about is how he's good at the cap, but the Eagles just absorbed the biggest dead cap hit in NFL history, and they had no money to improve a 4-11-1 football team because they were in salary cap hell, so to speak. So he can't draft and he can't manage the cap. So Red Sand, he's checking out on YouTube. Hopefully he's clicked the like button. The Dolphins are the 76ers of football. Trust the process. The Dolphins did tremendous.
Done a nice job. They really have.
Because they signed Will Fuller. They move back in the draft. They go back up. They're probably going to get Devontae Smith or Waddle or Pitts or one of those 4 big-time playmakers.
They can get basically whoever they want because they have their quarterback. And you know what? I like the way they did it last year with Tua. I really do, because you know what? These quarterbacks that come in as rookies when they start the season and they're forced into action, you know what? I don't think you do a rookie quarterback any favors doing that. I think it's better when they come in, they watch a little bit, and then they come in maybe in the middle of the season or early in the season. And if they play poorly, they can be sat down and somebody else goes in for them. I don't think just throwing them in really helps all that much. I think it hurts them more than it helps them. I mean, that's how everybody used to.
But, there's special guys that can do it. Carson started right away. He beat Sam Bradford.
He wasn't bad. They were 7-9, which is pretty damn good for for having a rookie quarterback.
What did Tyrod Taylor play? 1 game last year, and then Herbert came in and played really well.
Right, maybe too. I can't. But you know what the thing is with these quarterbacks, also, the coaches see them in practice too. If they're lighting it up in practice, they're going to play.
But Brad, let's just say they get Justin Fields somehow, some way. I'm correct. They're QB hunting, and they come out of this draft, first round of this draft, with Justin Fields. How are you going? Justin Fields is not going to succeed with 7 number 4 or 5 receivers to throw to, and a quarterback and a running back a tight end in Dallas Goedert who's always hurt. I don't know what I have in him yet. not a number one tight end in my opinion. And you got ballerina boy Miles Sanders running the ball, who doesn't have any type of legitimate backup.
And he fumbles.
And he fumbles a lot. Look, everyone here that watches the show every week knows I can't stand Miles Sanders. I think he stinks. But how is Justin Fields going to be successful there?
Oh, that is the problem.
So you're hanging Jalen Hurts out to dry because you don't believe him next year? Believe in him next year potentially? That's so wrong. That's so wrong. How are you supposed to see what you got in Jalen Hurts with 7 number 4 receivers on your roster? You can't do it. You can't do it. You're not going to figure anything out, and you don't learn anything.
Well, Rob, it's the same thing with Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones had the same kind of situation. I like Slayton, but the rest of the guys just weren't doing the job. And Evan Ingram, who plays with his head up his ass, it's the same thing with them too. But at least the Giants went out and brought in Galladay. They addressed the problem. The Eagles just don't seem to address the problem.
Joseph Orosky, look at the Dolphins' actions. Do they have their quarterback? Tua stinks not, so the Dolphins are committed to him. Okay, they're not committed.
I agree.
They're not committed to him. They let Fitzpatrick walk. He's on the Niners, or not the Niners, excuse me, the Washington football team. You trade back, then you trade right back up. They're not going to pick a quarterback. If they were going to pick a quarterback, they'd trade for Wilson or Deshaun Watson. Like, I don't understand. Their actions indicate that they are committed to Tua as their quarterback. It's clear as day.
I think Tua is going to be a very good quarterback. Again, these guys who played their first year in the league, it's not so easy. And Miami did not exactly have a ton of weapons last year. Okay, they had a very good defense, but they didn't have a great offense last year. I mean, when Fitzpatrick went back there and he had some of those Fitzmagic type games that he's capable of having, yeah, they scored some points. But then he has those games, too many of them, where he's completely ineffective.
Brian Daly. I actually like the trade. You trade back to 12, hopefully a corner, and can get really good talent there. On top of that, you get 3 first-rounders next year. Having 3 first-rounders in next year's draft does nothing to excite me. Not with Howie Roseman at GM. Sorry. I can't get excited about multiple first-round draft picks. I can't get excited about having the most draft picks in this draft coming up at 11 of anyone in the entire league. I can't do it. I can't do it because they're going to be, whether it's this year or using their 3 first-round picks next year, because the Colts pick is going to be a first-round pick. Because Emilio DeSico, Colts will win 8 games next year. They lost half their coaching staff and Wentz blows. I completely disagree with that. The Colts are going to be a very good football team next year. They lost an offensive coordinator and a defensive backs coach. That's not half their staff. So calm down. The Colts will be a very good football team, and the Eagles are going to get a first-round pick out of it. I can't get excited about having 3 first-round picks next year, having 11 picks in this upcoming draft with Howie Roseman drafting. I can't do it. He doesn't know his ass from his elbow when it comes to evaluating football talent. John Malmos, Asante Samuel Jr. and Parsons in your first 2 picks, and I'm happy as hell. I would be really surprised if Asante Samuel Jr. fell out of the first round. And Parsons at 12, okay, that's fine. Cool. Linebacker at 12. They haven't drafted one in first round maybe ever. Marcus Smith, I guess, but he was kind of a defensive end hybrid guy. Brian Daly, even if they stayed at 6, you still have Howie as the GM. Nothing is a sure thing with him at the helm. Nothing's a sure thing even with...
That's the whole issue.
Nothing's a sure thing when it comes to these prospects with anybody. Anybody, the best GMs, they miss too. But Howie misses all the time. The last 36 picks. 1 Pro Bowler, 0 All-Pros. And we're giving him 3 shots at the apple next year. Sorry. Can't agree with it. Hate it. Complete slop. Pick at 6. Get a playmaker. See what you got with Hurts. And then if Hurts falls flat on his face this year, and then you don't believe in him, then you have assets to move around the draft next year and get a quarterback.
Well, I think at this point, I think they should give Wentz a chance. I'm sorry. They should give Hurts a chance. I mean, they have a lot invested in him, and he should get a chance to play at least 10 games and see what happens. I think you've already made a big investment in him as it is. You traded Carson Wentz. I mean, if you start and you draft yet another quarterback, I mean, you basically wasted a second-round pick completely. Completely. I mean, it doesn't make sense. The whole thing just doesn't make sense. I think they really, really screwed up just because they have 3 first-round picks. I mean, if you've completely destroyed your team, 22. You need 22 players to fill all the positions. 3 is not going to make that big of a difference if you completely screwed up your team.
John Coyle, 5 of the first picks could and really might be quarterbacks, so trading back still lands you a top 7 guy. I mean, we'll see. We'll see. I mean, it happens every year with the quarterback talk. Happens every year. Everyone says that all these quarterbacks are going to go in the top 10, and then only a select few actually go in the top 10.
2 years ago, the only one that went in the top 10 was Daniel Jones.
Right.
And then everybody was screaming at Dave Gettleman because how could you pick Daniel Jones over Dwayne Haskins? Blah, 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 blah. And how's Dwayne Haskins doing, by the way? Is he employed?
I don't think he is. No, I don't think he is.
I don't recall.
Right? He might be a backup somewhere.
Yeah, I don't recall anybody even picking him up.
So no, I'm not buying that the top five picks in the draft are going to be quarterback.
No, I'm not
buy that. I don't buy that. Because if you miss in the top 5 on a quarterback, on a fringe guy like Mac Jones or Trey Lance,
you've set your team.
You're screwed.
Years, but if you do that,
Justin Fields has tools. So I could definitely see him going in the top 5. He's 6'3". He's 220 pounds. He can throw it. He can run it.
He's pretty accurate, and he can move around.
Big 10 guy. I know you got the stench of like the past Ohio State quarterbacks that didn't really pan out, but I can't really hold that against Justin Fields.
No, I think he's pretty good. I think Justin Fields is the real deal.
That Jason Acosta, he wants Parsons or a quarterback at this point. Okay, but guess who's going 10th right before you to Dallas is Patrick Surtain. So
he could go to Patrick Surtain could also go to the Giants too.
And he's a plug and play guy. He's the prospect that I look at and like, maybe he won't be an all-pro or a Pro Bowler right away, but he's going to step in and he's going to start for you right away.
Yeah, and it'll be pretty effective too.
Pete Evans is in the house. Prism 280. Linebackers are a pretty big issue too, is it not? Yeah, it's an issue. This team has issues, but when I read you the list, J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, Greg Ward, Travis Fulgham, Jalen Reagor, Quez Watkins, John Hightower, and Khalil Tate as your 7 guys on the roster right now, that's trash. That's complete slop. You can't win in this league with receivers that bad. And you don't have like a Travis Kelce at tight end to balance it out. You have Dallas Goedert, who has his issues. You don't have a great running attack either, because I'm not a Miles Sanders guy.
Have they traded Zach Ertz yet? No, right?
No, he is on the roster, but I mean, he'll probably end up getting released. I can't see him coming to camp next year.
Get released. Why wouldn't they have released him before free agency so that they?
Because I think that they're hoping that maybe they'll make a move at the draft with them and get a 4th or 5th round pick.
I mean, I don't know. I would keep him and hope for the best.
Well, he's on my shit list too because I'm sick of him. He was unprofessional last year. All he did was complain about his contract. He was unfocused on football, got himself hurt, and then he wants to pull the alligator tear routine in his farewell press his end of the year press conference about how he loves Philly and he doesn't want to leave. Okay, then shut up and play with 2 years left on your deal when you're not as good as George Kittle and Travis Kelce. So I'd rather have Julie Ertz start at tight end than Zach Ertz next year. Zach Ertz, I couldn't be more out on a player. He's just – I don't like Zach Ertz anymore. I don't like him. I don't want him to be on the team.
He might still end up on the – if they can't – listen, if they cut him, I don't know how much – if they were going to cut him, they should have cut him already. And
well, they were able to get they were able to get under the cap without cutting him. And he is a good enough player to, get you a draft pick back.
Yeah, he's also a good enough player to be productive too. I mean, that's what I'm saying. If I were the Eagles, I wouldn't be in such a rush to trade him. I think that he's still a good player, and he can still be effective for them. And to just let him go, to trade him for a 4th or 5th round pick, I mean, that's not you're not going to get a player that can be as productive in that spot as Cam.
John Malmos, hello. When was the last time a wideout took a team to a Super Bowl championship? Looks like last year some middle linebacker made a big difference on teams, including the Super Bowl champions. Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying that they should stay at 6 and pick Jamar Chase and, they're going to be playing deep into January. That's not what I'm saying at all. But when you have 4 guys at the top of the draft that can step in and make plays in Waddle, Smith, Chase, Pitts, and you're picking 6th, you just stay there, pick one of them, give your developing quarterback a weapon, and stop trying to outthink yourself and outsmart yourself.
I mean, you know what? You look at Kansas City, okay? You have Tyreek Hill and you have Kelce, okay? And obviously they've got other good wide receivers. Tampa Bay was loaded with good wide receivers. So, when was the last time a wide receiver led somebody to a championship? Well, you know what? You need a bunch of good wide receivers. And you got to start somewhere. And now's the time to start. If you get a really good wide receiver, it makes all the other wide receivers better because then they have to pay special attention to one of them. So right now, do the Eagles have a wide receiver that somebody has to double cover?
No.
That's a problem. That's a big freaking problem right now.
No, they barely have to single cover our receivers.
Well, they have to single cover them. I mean, but they still need to get a guy a breakaway threat at wide receiver. I think basically somebody is going to be there at 12. If you look at it, there should be somebody there at 12. But I wouldn't have traded back.
I need a playmaker though. I'm not satisfied with Parsons at 12. I'm not satisfied with Farley or Jace Horn at 12. Surtain, Waddle. I guess you put Slater in the mix there. I mean, we'll see. We'll see. I'm not buying that the first 5, 6 picks are all going to be quarterbacks. I'm not buying that at all. Never works out like that.
No. And somebody's going to take an offensive lineman. Somebody's going to take a defensive lineman. You know that. Offensive linemen and defensive linemen always get picked right away.
John Malmos, I get it. We need corners, we need linebackers, we need safeties, we need edge rush, we need everything. We stink. The Eagles stink. But I think if you look at what you need to be explosive in this league and be able to move the ball up and down the field consistently, the 7 receivers that I named throughout the show ain't going to get it done. I think you're absolutely insane if you can look at this roster and tell me that wide receiver is not this team's biggest need. And you know what? I don't care that they took Rager in the first round last year and J.J. Arcega-Whiteside in the second round the year before.
Yeah,
they can't play.
The right side can't play.
Look at the Patriots. The Patriots took 2 tight ends in the 3rd round of the draft last year. You know what they did? They went through the season. They couldn't move the football. They realized those guys stunk, and they spent $80 million in free agency on the 2 top free agent tight ends in Delaney Walker and Hunter Henry. Forget about worrying about that you spent a lot of draft capital on Rager and JJ Arcega-Whiteside. It doesn't matter. They can't play.
Yeah, if
they can't play.
Good, if they're not good, you can't be stubborn about it. And they've been very stubborn about this stuff. It's like, oh, you can't cut him because he's a second round. Well, you know what? You pick if somebody's not good, they're not good.
Tom Arnone thinks Fields stinks. I mean, I don't know that he stinks or not. I think he's got a lot of tools to be good. But I mean, whatever. I mean, you think he stinks. That's fine. Thomas Arnone, Smith, Horn, Parsons. One will be there. Horn or Parsons at 12. That doesn't do anything for me. It doesn't excite me. And Devontae Smith is not going to be there at 12. I'd be shocked. After the way he played when the lights were brightest in the national championship game, someone's going to nab him up.
Do you not think the Giants wouldn't grab him if he's there at 11?
There's Joseph Orosky's not bound. Shane Treat, he's checking us in on YouTube. Their whole roster is slop. Run down their defense now. You know, like Bobby Stevens, Eagles linebacker, Alex Stigl, Davian Taylor, TJ Edwards, Joe Bashy, Sean Bradley, Jannard Avery, Rashard Smith. Who? Yeah, it's a bad group. It's a bad group. The receivers I named earlier are worse. You can't move the ball on offense consistently with 7 number 4 receivers. And that's what you kind of have to do in today's NFL. Yeah, you need a defense and you got to get stops, but I mean, if you can't move the football in a passing league like this and you have 7 number 4 receivers, you're not going anywhere.
You have to have at least 2 go-to receivers. Minimum.
Shane Treat, Savin Collins, I mean, like a defensive end linebacker out of Tulsa. He doesn't excite me at all. I'm supposed to be excited about 260-pound outside linebacker. I guess he can play defensive end, but I think I'm somewhat good at defensive end.
That's a little undersized these days for a defensive end, isn't it?
I think I'm all right at defensive end. I have Sweat, I have Barnett on one side in a platoon, and I have Brandon Graham making a lot of money, who's still productive on the other side, and I have Fletcher Cox and Hargrave in the middle.
You're fine.
So,
that's fine. That's not really an issue. But the problem with the Eagles last year is they were just getting burned because all these quarterbacks were getting rid of the ball quickly. And, they were alleviating the pass rush by getting rid of the ball quickly. And the Eagles secondary and linebackers were just crushed last year. I mean, when they had to make a big stop. I mean, a perfect example was the Steeler game. If you remember, Ben Roethlisberger, every time on third down, he would just take the ball and throw a quick short pass, and he'll alleviate that pass rush and continuously get first downs, and the Eagles would never get the ball back.
Yeah, Jonnu Smith. Yeah, I misspoke on the. Thank you, Christian. It was not Delaney Walker. Delaney Walker, I assume he's still on the Titans. It was Jonnu Smith and Hunter Henry. The Patriots signed. One for $50 million, one for $30 million. So they realized they made a mistake in the third round with 2 players, not just one. And they fixed it in free agency by signing the 2 best.
You know what? The Patriots are entitled to have an off year. I think they've – I mean, if their fans are all upset about last year after all the greatness that they've had the last 20 years, you know what? They need to grow up a little bit.
Yeah, and I think
they're entitled to have one bad year, and you give them a year to fix it. I think the Patriots did great in the off season.
We got Rob. Did you make some college basketball bets over the weekend? Yeah, I found on I was 0-2 yesterday. I hit on Baylor and Syracuse. I lost on. So yeah, I've cooled off. I was really good in the first 2 rounds and not so much in the in past that. I like the Wild tonight. Bet the Wild tonight, Don. Road favorites in San Jose. San Jose, I don't think they're very good, Brad. I think the Wild are good.
Horrible. The one team that I think has looked a little better than I thought they would is Anaheim, and Anaheim has a ton of good young players on their team. And by the way, getting into hockey a little bit, I've been watching.
Just an update on the game here. It's 34-17 Houston over Oregon State. Second half's about to go underway. Get underway. Baylor and Arkansas is the nightcap. And obviously you have Michigan, UCLA tomorrow, and Gonzaga and USC tomorrow.
Yeah, right now, Berg is ahead of the Islanders 2-0. The Flyers, let's see. The Knicks are ahead of Miami 34-30. And let's see how the Flyers are doing.
Flyers are down 2-0. Flyers are down 2-0 to the Sabres midway through the second period.
By the way, the Sabres are winless in their last 14 games. So the Flyers have some work to do.
The Flyers are horrible.
Well,
what happened? Am I just supposed to throw this?
After they finally beat the Rangers 2-1 on Saturday. And the Flyers played well that game, but they were. Would you say that they were kind of embarrassed into playing well that game? I mean, after getting beaten by the Rangers 9-0, then losing to the Devils at home, and then you're playing the Rangers again and you lose 8-3. I mean, your fan. I mean, I know that there's not a lot of fans in the building, but boy, oh boy, I mean, they almost had to play better on. They played a real good game. They hustled the Rangers, deserve to win that game for sure. And but one game does not end their misery. Right now, they're not playing good hockey. They're giving up way too many goals, and it's been going on all season. And yeah, I saw the first goal that Buffalo scored, and it was a terrible goal. I mean, went right through Elliott's legs, and it was beyond the faceoff circle. I mean, that's not a good goal. The Islanders, by the way, just scored to make it 2-1. So they're
Brad, I mean, I can't even blame the goalies for the Flyers' struggle. They have just been peppered beyond belief. I mean, guys just walk into the zone, 2-on-1s, 3-on-2s. Like, what are the goalies supposed to do? And now it's to the point they're giving up softies just because they're just worn out.
The problem is there's too many. They're giving up too many grade A shots. I mean, you can't keep doing that. And you know what? They've been so bad that Carter Hart is now kind of looks like he's totally lost his confidence. And they're putting Elliott in there. And, Elliott's okay, but if you play Elliott too often, he starts playing poorly too. Elliott is one of those guys, you put him in there once every 3 games, once every 4 games, and he's going to play spectacularly. But if he starts playing every night, he's not going to be good. So that's a problem. I mean, listen, it doesn't help for the Flyers or my Rangers for that matter that this division is just such a ridiculously strong division. I mean,
am I supposed to give the Flyers a pass for this subpar play?
No, because
of the division. Because I've used that excuse for a while with them.
All I'm saying, and I thought the Flyers were going to win the division this year. I was right up there with you saying at the beginning on this station, on these airwaves, that the Flyers were going to win the division. I'm just shocked that defensively they've been so bad. Usually, when you have a young defense and they play well, usually they improve the next year. It's very rare that the defense falls apart. You see guys who are scorers sometimes in the second year have an off year because the film on them shows exactly what their trends are and how they score. And teams are ready for that. But defensively, if a team is strong defensively, usually they don't fall back. I mean, I'm not really understanding what's going on with them.
They just gave up another one, Brad, so it's 3-0 Buffalo.
3-0. Oh, my God.
Like, I look at this, is there a coaching problem here in Philadelphia? Why aren't these young defensemen?
I'm going to tell you something about Alain Vigneault, okay? And I know that I'm going to sound like a Sour Grapes Ranger fan, but you know what? That's okay. If you guys want to think that, that's fine. But the reason the Rangers let Alain Vigneault go is not because he's a bad coach, but that he didn't communicate with the young players. And the Rangers were planning on a rebuild, and they didn't think that he was the one that would be good with the young players. That's why they let him go. Okay, it's not that he's a bad coach, but here's the thing with Alain Vigneault and his style of play. Alain Vigneault loves to headman the puck. I mean, I guess these days they call it a stretch pass, right? So he loves to headman the puck. If the defense on the other team steps up and is able to stop that pass, generally speaking, it could end up being an odd man rush. And I think that's what you're seeing a lot with the Flyers is they're giving up too many odd man rushes, and their defensemen are not stepping up and stopping the play. They're backing in, and a lot of them are flamingoing instead of blocking the damn shots. And for you guys who don't watch hockey, flamingoing is kind of like avoiding a block shot because you don't want to get hit by the puck. And all that ends up doing is screening your goaltender. And that's kind of been the problem with Alain Vigneault. Alain Vigneault is a good offensive coach, and your teams are always going to score a lot of goals. But he wants his goalies to make saves. He doesn't want his defensemen blocking shots. He wants his defensemen ready to get that puck and make that headman pass out of the zone and try to catch the other team in transition. That's his game.
Well, Brett, I have the stats. I have the stats for the team up right here. Oscar Lindblom, who is a promising young player, he's a -8. Travis Sanheim, who's a promising young defensive, he's a -13. Philip Myers, who's a promising young defenseman, he's a -13. Nolan Patrick, who was the second pick in the whole draft, he's a -19.
Yeah, that's a problem.
Shane Gostisbehere is a -1. That's not good enough from a first pair defenseman. Ivan Provorov, who was emerging as a fantastic defensive defenseman in the bubble last year, he's a +2. He's only got 15 points in 33 games.
That's not bad though for a defenseman. Listen, if you can get a defenseman that's going to have a 40-point season over a full season, that you want that. That's good enough. Ivan Provorov is not the problem. Okay?
He's not the head of the snake on the defensive end of the ice that I need him to be. It's not. He's been disappointing.
He can't be because he doesn't have a partner who he trusts that'll let him go out and take chances. If he goes up and takes chances, they're going to get scored on because he doesn't have a guy to back. Last year, okay, he had that guy. Okay, and Niskanen, he had that guy. Niskanen was tremendous last year. The Flyers need to go out at the trade deadline and get themselves a defenseman, but not a rental defenseman. Get a defenseman who's going to be around for a year or two. Okay, because if you're gonna spend for a defenseman, get a defenseman who's not just a 1 year a rental. Although I'll tell you what, from what I understand, I did a little research over the weekend, and it looks like the Flyers are going to have around $20 to $22 million of cap space in the summer. So if you do get a guy who could be an unrestricted free agent, you may want to get a guy. You may want to talk to the guy first and make sure that he wants to sign, because the Flyers can sign some free agents over the summer. I mean, and that's a big.
Is there anybody what are the rumors? Like, who's getting moved? Is there realistically anyone the Flyers can grab to kind of maybe right this ship, or are they wise to just? Yeah,
you take a look at the Predators roster. Half their team, they've got some defensemen whom they would love to move. Mark Stahl of the Detroit Red Wings. I know I used to call him the parking cone, but you know what? That's the kind of player. He's a defensive-minded defenseman who, if you're not asking him to do too much, except back, play defense and let Provorov do what he wants to do. That's the kind of player you need to get. Those are the types of players. Right now, offensively, there are a lot of unrestricted. There are going to be a lot of unrestricted free agents. But I mean, the Flyers, if they want to get somebody, they've got to get a defenseman. It doesn't necessarily have to be a top pair defenseman. It has to be a good, experienced defenseman who can play with Provorov. I mean, that's the thing. It just seems like losing Niskanen put all these guys up a notch, and now they're playing in roles that they are just not quite prepared to play right now. And it just seems like they can play one real good game, but they can't put games back to back.
And then, like, if they are going to make a move, like, they're only 3 points out of the 4th spot.
Yeah, but the Bruins have like 5 games in hand on them, don't they?
No, they have the Bruins. They have 2.
Oh, they only have 2? I thought they had more than that. Okay.
Right. So they played 31 games, and the Flyers have played 33 games.
Well, I'll tell you what. One thing: if the Flyers or the Rangers do happen to make the playoffs, they need to send the New Jersey Devils a gift certificate for all their favorite restaurants, because you know what? They have beaten the Bruins 4. That's correct, 4 times in a row. Now you talk about aggravation. If you're a Bruin fan and you're watching the Devils continuously beat you and shut you out twice in a row in Boston Garden or TD Garden, I mean, you have to be scratching your head saying, what the holy hell is going on? I mean, how do you continuously get shut out by the Devils? I mean, it's almost funny.
Don19 says, come get Stahl. Is that feasible, Brad?
Yeah,
I assume he's on the.
I think Stahl would be a good fit for the Flyers. Honestly, I mean,
what's he gonna cost me?
Maybe a 4th round pick.
That's it.
Yeah.
All right, let's do that. And then
I mean, he wouldn't be. I think he'd be a very good pickup for them. He's tough. He does everything that needs to be done. I mean, the Rangers got rid of him because the Rangers couldn't afford to pay him. You know, I mean, he was making $4.5 million this year as a number, as a number 6 defenseman. And as you know, the Rangers are in rebuild mode. They wanted to get rid of all their older players and bring up all these kids because they feel that they have the best farm system in the NHL, and they want all these young guys to play. And to be honest with you, defensively, they've been pretty good. So I don't think it's a bad move if they were to get a guy like that. That's a guy that they can get cheaply. And again, if you like the way he's the kind of guy, if you like the way he plays and he fits into the system well, you re-sign him. If you don't like the way he plays, then let him go. He's going to be a free agent anyway. But he wouldn't cost you more than a 4th. I think he'd be a good fit for them. I'm just thinking of some of the other divisions.
It's interesting. They're only 3 games out of a playoff, which screams go make a move. But is Chuck Fletcher going to go make a move? Or is he going to prospect hug like your boy Brian Cashman seems to like to do?
Or is he going to wait till the summer and sign a free agent defenseman and not have to give up any assets and just say, you know what, it's not going to happen this season? I mean, that's the decision you have to make. If you do make a move and get a defenseman, okay, can you win the Stanley Cup? Or do you think you're going to be good enough to win the Stanley Cup? If you don't think that you're good enough to win the Stanley Cup or at least get to the conference finals, then don't do it. You know, you've got all this cap space for next year. Don't give up your assets and go out and keep your assets and then go get yourself some free agents. The Flyers are in the same position the Rangers are with free agency. The Rangers are going to be $26 million under the cap. The Flyers are going to be $22 million under the cap. So you know what? They've got a golden opportunity over the summer to fix this. It's not a mess, but it's a problem. They need to fix this defense issue, and they got to make some decisions on Myers, and they got to make some decisions on Sanheim because it's not good enough. You know, they're kind of locked into Gostisbehere because of all the money they've spent on him, so they kind of have to keep him. But these other guys, they're not spending a lot of money on these other guys. If they want to let some of these guys go and bring in some better defensemen, that might be something they might want to consider.
Flyers are 16-13, 4 overtime losses, 36 points. They are 3-6-1 in their last 10. It feels like the sky is falling, but they're only 3 points out of a playoff spot. They just can't stop anybody. I mean, to be down.
They have an opportunity to put the Rangers away. Their next 2 games are against the Sabres. While the Rangers just had to play Washington, while the Rangers are playing Washington twice. Okay, let's be honest, okay? The Rangers lost yesterday 5-4, and what was an unbelievable comeback in the third period, and it definitely Washington hung on for their lives, but they were able to hang on and win that game. They had a 4-2 lead and they had a 4-1 lead and a 5-2 lead in the third period, and the Rangers made it 5-4 with 3 minutes to go, but they weren't able to get over the hump. But nonetheless, they have to play Washington tomorrow. Okay, the Flyers have a game in hand on the Rangers, and their next 2 games are against Buffalo. So I mean, they should have a 6-point lead over the Rangers, and 6 points is a lot. Let's not kid ourselves with the fact that overtime losses, you got a point and that sort of thing. 6 points is a lot. They don't get these 2 wins. They're missing a big opportunity to just say, okay, let's just get rid of that team and let's try to close in on the Bruins. Because the Bruins have had their problems too. The Bruins don't have enough scoring. I mean, the Bruins have been shut out, at least to my recollection, 3 times, because the Rangers shut them out twice and once, and the Devils have shut them out twice. So I mean, that shouldn't be happening. That shouldn't be happening to teams that you're better than. Bruins need to score. So that's what they're going to be looking at. Flyers are going to be looking for a defenseman. I don't think the Rangers are going to be making any trades. I really don't. If they do make a trade, it's going to be a hockey trade. They got to get themselves another center. I think that's something they need. But
Don Lewis, the Flyers are in trouble. I don't know what the hell is going on, but they're pissing me off. Yeah, I mean, it's just the defense. I mean, I feel like they start the game down 3-0 every night, and it looks like their defensemen have ankle weights on. They just can't keep up.
Well, their forwards also aren't coming back either. I mean, you can't just completely blame the defensemen.
But didn't you just articulate that Alain Vigneault doesn't want that from their forwards, from his forwards?
No, that's not the way that's not the way. Alain Vigneault, as I said, they don't block shots. They would rather the goalies make the saves. They want he wants his defensemen to stand up because he wants them to get the puck and quickly move it out of the zone and try to get breakaways. That's how he plays the game and try to catch the other team in transition. I mean, trust me, I know. I watched Alain Vigneault coach the Rangers for 4 years. That's how he plays the game.
But that strategy worked when he was with the Rangers because you had King Henrik in his prime.
Well, yeah, of course it did.
But the Flyers don't have that. Is my point.
Well, they also, I mean, the Rangers defensively were pretty good too. They didn't allow second shots. I mean, the problem with the Flyers is their defense gives up way too many second and third opportunities. I mean, you can't do if you give up second and third opportunities in the NHL. That's a recipe to lose. I mean, it is.
Tom Arnaud, the Flyers can't skate. What a shock. Yeah, it's kind of been their MO. So they think it's 1974 and you can be the Broad Street Bullies and just knock teams around. And then you get Vigneault and you get some young guys that can, possibly skate and score, and they're not developing at all. And Brett, at what point do I get concerned that Alain Vigneault is not the guy here?
I mean, this is year 2 for him.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't think you can fire him this season, especially during the season. I think you have to give him the rest of the season. But I think you got to give him 1 more year and get yourself some help on defense. I think they need 1 or maybe 2 veteran defensemen on this team to help them out. I keep referring to the Rangers, but the Rangers went and they've got themselves their 1 real good veteran, and that's Jacob Trouba. Okay, and every really good defense has at least 1 veteran on it that's really good. And that's the thing. I mean, you take a look at Washington. Okay, they're loaded with defensemen, and they're all good defensive defensemen. But Washington also comes back and plays. Their forwards come back and play defense too. Even Ovechkin comes back and plays defense.
Tom Arnaud, he despises the Flyers organization. And Don Lewis, what's the name of the young defenseman the Rangers have on their restricted list? The Flyers should go after him. He's a quality defenseman. You can.
The Rangers
You
don't have
can
anybody on the restricted list. Are they talking about Nils Lundqvist, the guy in Sweden?
maybe.
I don't. I mean, I'm trying to. They're none of their defense. You mean they don't have any defensemen on the COVID list right now?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm not sure where Don. I'm not sure where Don is going with that.
Yeah, I'm not sure whom he's talking about. I mean, and don't expect the Rangers to try to help out the Flyers. I mean, I can't imagine they're going to make that same mistake like they did with Carolina last year with Brady Shea. You know, you got to learn your lessons with that. So last year the Rangers let Brady Shea go, and you know he literally killed them in the playoffs because it's not necessarily that he was so productive, but Brendan Smith had to play with Trouba, and it just didn't work out. You know, and Brendan Smith's another one. I think if you got him on your team, I think he would help. He would help the team too. But I don't think the Rangers would trade him either. At least not to Philly. You know, but there's guys. I mean, I would look at Anaheim. Anaheim has a couple of veteran defensemen on their team that might be able to help them.
That's bad. I mean, they're down 3-0 to the worst team maybe in the East.
They're the worst. They have the worst record in the league, and it's not really close. I mean, they have 16 points. I think the next worst team in the league, I believe, is Ottawa, that has either 19 points or 21 points. I have to. I mean, there's no notes, so I'm not going to look it up and cheat. I believe Ottawa has 19 points and Detroit has 21, or it's the opposite way.
Surprise teams in the NHL right now? Anyone surprising you? Good or bad?
Well, the Flyers are surprising me that they haven't played as well as I thought that they would play.
Tony DeAngelo, we don't want him, Don Lewis. He's cancer. He's a crumb.
You don't want him. You don't want him. He's a jackass.
No.
He's a troublemaker. And you know what? You don't need another defenseman who doesn't play defense. You know, I mean, that's.
I'm out.
Listen, Tony DeAngelo was a good player for the Rangers last year, but part of the problem is he's a very good power play player, but he's really bad in his own end. And you know what? He kind of played his way off the team this year. You know, he got into Quinn's doghouse, and that was it. And then he got into a fight with Georgiev, I believe, after the third game of the season, and. You know, then he took a swing at Kreider, and then Kreider flattened him, and that was it for him. He was not welcome there. Heck, the Rangers wouldn't even let him play in Hartford. That's all you need to know. They wouldn't even let him play in their minor league affiliates. So, I mean, I don't know why you would want him. First of all, he's going to be a free agent at the end of the year anyway, because the Rangers are going to buy him out. So, I wouldn't do that. You don't want that guy. That he's the last guy. You don't need that. You don't need that. You need a guy. You need a good defensive defenseman.
Don 19. I know you had Flyers money line tonight. Go get it back with the Wild. Wild are going to beat the Sharks later tonight. Road favorite, rested. Go get your money back with the Wild. How are my Canucks doing, Brad? Not so good. I see on the standings here.
Not too well.
They're 2 points back.
Yeah, but the Canadians have played a lot less games than everybody else. Because
that's true.
Half their team has COVID right now, so they've also been given up to May 11th to finish their season. So the season's been extended a week so that they can play all those extra games. I mean, I'll tell you what. Now, getting back to the Bruins again, and the Flyers or Rangers trying to catch up to them. The one thing that the Rangers and Flyers are going to have an advantage with the Bruins is the Bruins have a lot of games to make up, which means they're going to have to play a lot of games in a short period of time. So, you know, they could get tired, and you know, when teams get tired and they're having trouble scoring goals, you know, there's always the chance that they could have a little bit of a collapse. So you never know.
And we got 10 minutes left in the Elite Eight matchup in the Midwest there. Houston's up 48-37, so we got an 11-point lead. Oregon State's hanging around. They're hanging around here. Houston's not delivering that knockout punch, and they're struggling handling the press. So Oregon State's hanging around here.
You see how good Houston is, and you realize Rutgers should have actually beaten them. So
Rutgers had them.
yeah,
Rutgers had them.
I know they did, but you know what? A lot of who was it that used to say? I think Valvano said it before he passed away. You survive in advance. They survive. Every team it seems that gets to the Final Four, they always have that one game that they find a way to win, even though it didn't look like they were going to win. That may have been that game.
And Don, I'm very surprised at UCLA. I'm very surprised to be in a first four game and be knocking on the doorstep of the Final Four is unbelievable. And the Pac-12 conference is really kind of flexed its muscles. They didn't get any respect going into the tournament. They didn't have that good of a regular season. And, they could very well have three of the Final Four. They already have 3 of the Elite 8. USC, I think Michigan, I think Don 19. I think that's the play of the Elite 8. I would lay the points with Michigan over UCLA. I think the clock's about to strike midnight. That game will be tomorrow. I would heavily favor Michigan in that game. Michigan's better coached. Michigan has better players. Michigan's more battle-tested. Michigan plays better defense. So I would heavily favor the Michigan Wolverines tomorrow. Then USC is going to play Gonzaga. Bryce Blackwell. USC is very good with the Mobley brothers. Yeah, I mean, they flexed on Kansas. They beat Kansas by 34 in a tournament game. That's unprecedented. Kansas, pretty good program, pretty good history there. And then they smack up.
That's an interesting result.
And then USC, they beat Oregon, and now they're going to play Gonzaga tomorrow.
By the way,
I don't know. Gonzaga's so.
Just want to let you know the Knicks right now are leading at halftime the Miami Heat, 43-36. How about holding Miami 36 points at halftime?
I don't get Miami. They must be too tired. They must be too tired from playing all that basketball last year in the bubble. I keep waiting for them to turn it on and be a factor in the East. But, I mean, time is now. I mean, you get Oladipo at the deadline. I don't get it. Maybe they're just not that good this year. It's not that good.
Yeah, Jimmy Butler has 8 points at halftime. And I'm kind of stunned by Miami. They're a big disappointment this season, as far as I'm concerned.
And then the Celtics are a little bit better, but I keep waiting for them to turn it on too, and they just can't seem to figure it out either. Let me bring up these standings because.
Well, I'll tell you what. That Oklahoma City game on Saturday, was it Saturday when they played Oklahoma City? I think they're down 11 points after 3 quarters, and then they outscore them 35-14 in the fourth quarter to win going away. I mean, obviously something happened in that fourth quarter to change things around. But the Celtics are another team that has a lot of talent.
They're 23-23. The Heat are 22-24. I don't know. I guess they're just not that good this year. The bubble, I don't know. I don't get it. Because you got the Knicks, the Hornets, and the Hawks, all with better records than the Celtics and the Heat. The Hawks are an interesting team right now. They've been on a huge win streak, playing really good basketball since they made a coaching change. Yeah. Charlotte's been pretty solid all season, and the Knicks are back. They're in the 4 seed. Obviously, in the East, you have the 3 behemoths at the top in Philadelphia, who has a one game lead over Brooklyn. And then Milwaukee is obviously Milwaukee. They have Giannis and Chris Middleton, and they're really good too. All 3 of those teams are 8-2 in their last 10.
By the way, the Knicks knocked off Milwaukee on Saturday night, which was quite the shock.
Knicks are good. The Knicks are good. They play in the Garden, and they're good. They play good at home.
Well, no, they beat Milwaukee in Milwaukee.
That's a good win, but I'm just saying, I'm looking at their splits right now: 14-8 at home, 10-14 on the road.
Yeah, but for them, that's pretty good, actually.
Knicks have had a tremendous season. They've exceeded expectations. They're on the right track, and
Thibodeau is the difference. You know, it's like he came in. He's the one that finally has fixed it.
yeah, I mean they're giving up the least amount of points in the Eastern Conference at 104.
Yeah, and
Sixers
defense travels.
defense travels. You're absolutely right. I mean, you look at it how it plays out right now. You've got them playing the Hornets in the first round, and I would favor the Knicks in a series there.
I don't know that's. I don't know what kind of a matchup that is. The Knicks have the Knicks even played the Hornets this year? I think they played them once, and they got smoked in North Carolina. So I don't recall them. I don't know that they played them that much this year. I know they've owned the Hawks. The Hawks, we expected them to be good. So the fact that they're playing better now shouldn't be that surprising.
No, but they were really bad.
Yeah, they were.
They weren't doing anything, and then McMillan takes the reins, and he's kind of wrote the ship down there. But this is why it's imperative that the Sixers get the 1 seed or the Nets get the 1 seed. You got to get the 1 seed if you're one of those 3 behemoths, because then in the second round you're playing the winner of Charlotte and New York, as opposed to the winner of
the Bucks or the Nets. You don't want to have to play both the Bucks and the Nets in the playoffs
to get to the finals.
Right.
Correct.
That's the problem, because you'll be wearing yourself out trying to do that. You want to.
I'm not really worried about, as a Sixers fan, I'm not really worried about the Bucks. I think the Sixers match up really well with the Bucks. Obviously, the Nets are really talented, but I'll take my Sixers over the Nets. I really will. I mean, look, Blake Griffin 3 years ago was really good. LaMarcus Aldridge 3 years ago was really good. I don't know how much you're getting from them, and I don't think they have an answer for. I don't think they have an answer for Joe down low. I think
it's not really about those guys. It's about the big 3 playing. Okay, and those guys right now are bench players. I mean, that's those guys you may not even see that much of them. I mean, the Nets are getting contributions from guys you've never heard of. That's kind of what's going on. This guy Brown, who's played in place of Irving, has done a real nice job. I had mentioned another guy. Now I forgot his name on Facebook this morning, who's done a real nice job. Claxton has done a real nice job coming in for Jordan. I mean, you have to look at the guys. The guys you're talking about are going to be our 3rd and 4th string players. I mean, they're coming in now, but when everybody gets back, how much do you think they're going to play? They're just there in case they need to give up fouls, or wear down the other team. That's kind of why they're there. But look, nobody's going to stop Embiid. Nobody is. Nobody can stop Embiid. He's unstoppable. But at the same point, the Sixers aren't going to stop Harden, and they're not going to stop Durant or Kyrie either.
That's where I disagree with you. That's where I totally disagree with you. James Harden does this in the regular season all the time. By the way, he's playing tremendous basketball. I can't even sit here and take anything away from James Harden because
he's at MVP level right now.
Yeah, I think he's absolutely, you took the words right out of my mouth. I think James Harden has wrapped his hands around the NBA MVP award with the Joel Embiid injury, and I think he's going to be the MVP.
You know what, Rob? This is the first time he's ever been the point guard. I mean, he's getting a shit ton of assists every night. And when he can pass the ball to Kyrie, and when he can pass the ball to I mean, I think when Kyrie's been in the lineup, they've only lost 5 games all season. And I think they've only lost 2 games when Durant's been in the lineup. But I mean, they're like hardly ever in the lineup at the same time. That's been part of the problem. Durant's only got is a hamstring issue, and he should be back pretty soon. Kyrie should be back. He's supposed to be playing tonight, from what I understand. I think they're playing the Timberwolves tonight, if I'm not mistaken.
Don 19. Thank God it took the Knicks +4. I mean, it looks like a good bet, Don. Take the Wild, too. Don't forget about the Wild, Don.
The Knicks are always a good bet at home.
Don't mind the Pistons. We were just tanking for Cade Cunningham. Yeah, I mean, the Pistons don't – they got nothing. They're in total rebuild mode. And I think the Rockets are staking their claim for Cade Cunningham as well. Oregon State continues to hang around in this Elite Eight game.
What's the score?
They just cut it to 8, 50, right? 8, 6, yeah, 8, 52-44, 7 minutes to go. They're getting their press gun.
That's game on then.
I'll tell you what, man. If I'm Wayne Tinkle, who's the coach of Oregon State, I'm heading right to the athletic department, athletic director, and I'm asking for more money. What he's done with this team on this run is unbelievable.
Oh, yeah.
And by the way, did you see Shaka Smart has departed from Austin, Texas? He's going to be the coach of Marquette now. They just told him.
Yeah,
it's a shame. It's a shame, really, because Shaka Smart was so fun at VCU, and the way he played, the way he pressed, the way he played up-tempo, it was really fun to watch. And then he went to Texas, and he got away from what made him great at VCU. He tried to conform to the big conference play and play a more traditional style of basketball, and it killed him.
Well, if you coach a certain way, you shouldn't be. You've got to recruit players that play in the way you like to coach. I mean, that's the whole point. So,
but he didn't. He got away. He got away from what got him his big check at Texas, and maybe he'll realize that and he'll get back to what he's good at Marquette.
Yeah, in the Big East, he should be okay because what the Big East, that's how a lot of those teams play. Most of them slow down a little bit.
Oregon State is on a roll right now. They just got yet another steal. Houston can't handle the press. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable how these high-level Division I programs can't handle a press.
Don 19 wants to know if the Nets play the Knicks in the playoffs, how long do you see the series going? I don't see the Knicks winning more than a game against them. That's you're asking. I mean, for the Knicks to have to play Milwaukee in the playoffs or the Sixers or the Nets, that's asking an awful lot. I mean, listen, they're a nice story and they've really done a great job. And you know what? If the Knicks can get into the 4-5 game and win a round, I mean, as a Knicks fan, I mean, you have to be dancing in the streets after something like that. But I mean, you can't sit there and expect them to be competitive in a series against those teams. They don't have the talent. There's just they just don't. I mean, the Sixers just have too much talent for them. I mean, I think every game will be close. The Nets just have too much talent for them, and there's no way they're going to beat them when Giannis is playing with the Bucks. It's not going to happen.
Well, that's why they won on Saturday. I just looked it up. Giannis didn't play,
but neither did Randall.
Okay, well, it doesn't. Okay, fair.
They didn't have Randall, but I mean, listen, if you're asking me, will you sacrifice Randall if they had to sacrifice Giannis? Hell yeah.
Oregon State has cut the game to 4 points with 7 to go. They are storming back here in the second half. This is why March Madness is great. We might have a 12 seed in the Final Four.
Boy, oh boy.
Phenomenal.
Our buddy Phil Martelli, we're rooting for you, Phil. But boy, oh boy, you guys better not lose that game.
Well, no, Michigan. Phil Martelli coaches Michigan.
Right.
They play UCLA tomorrow.
Oh, they're playing UCLA. I'm sorry.
Yeah, this is Oregon State.
Oh, okay. My bad.
Don 19 has the Sixers and the Nuggets in the NBA Finals. I love what the Nuggets did at the trade deadline. I think Aaron Gordon was a great addition. A great addition.
The Nuggets again.
And you have Jokic, you have Jamal Murray, Monte Morris is who I like as a backup point guard. He's going to come back from injury. They have some guys there. Michael Porter Jr. can play. They got some guys there.
Right now they're playing them, right?
They play them tomorrow.
Tomorrow, yeah, I thought so.
That's the last game out west for the Sixers. Then they're going to play at Cleveland, who they always struggle with for whatever reason. Then they'll then they'll be back home. And then hopefully Joe is getting there, but I mean, they got to milk that and they got to be careful with them. All right, we got about 15 minutes left here on the Sports Hounds. It's flown by here. A lot of great sports chat. Thank you for your comments. If you haven't done so already, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that share button, Facebook, Twitter, Periscope, Instagram, YouTube. We're live everywhere, whatever your preference is. Give us some love. Put a comment in.
Coming this season, by the way, folks.
Thursday, opening day. We'll run through it. We'll do some official predictions right now. Don always enjoys the Sports Hounds. Thanks, Don. We love having you representing Detroit out there. Unfortunately, I can't officially predict the Tigers to do anything this season. But, I mean, baseball can be weird. Maybe the Tigers can show some signs of life for the future. But
I see them in last place, unfortunately. But
Brad, let's start in the American League. That's your area of expertise there. Houston just hit a 3, their first field goal in almost 4 minutes, 55-48. Houston leads Oregon State. Let's start in the AL East. That's the glamour division. You got the Yankees, you got the Red Sox. The Blue Jays are looking good. The Tampa Bay won the American League last year. I'm picking the Yankees here. I think the Yankees just have too much. If you're doing a last-minute fantasy baseball draft, Giancarlo Stanton is going way too late in fantasy drafts. I think he might be able to stay healthy this year and give you those MVP caliber numbers that he's capable of. Obviously, you got Luke Voit with the torn meniscus. That hurts.
But he'll be back. He'll be back by the middle of May, so he'll be fine. They only had to do arthroscopic knee surgery, so he's expected back, and he's going to be reevaluated in 3 weeks, and they're figuring 6 to 8 weeks. So, you're probably looking at the middle of May. And not to mention the fact that he also plays first base, so it's not like he's going to be running anywhere.
Yeah, so, and then maybe you can, I don't know, maybe if he can't play the field, you bring him back and you DH him, maybe.
Yeah, but then you're not going to bench Stanton though.
No, you put Stanton in left. I'm just saying, worst case scenario, if he can't move.
Yeah, they could always do that. But they'll find a way. They'll find a way with him. But I mean, they still have Judge. I think Judge is going to have a big year this year. I would expect Hicks to do a lot better. Hicks was still playing hurt last year and never really recovered. Gleyber Torres, I think, is going to have a bounce back year. I expect big things out of him. This Yankee pitching staff, after watching in spring training, I'm a little worried about Kluber, but Tyon looks fantastic. Montgomery's look good. Domingo Germán's look real good in the number 5 spot. Cole is his usual self. So it looks like everything's going to be okay with them. We had a little scare with Justin Wilson, but it looks like he's going to be back in a week. So with him, they just have to kind of survive with the bullpen until Zach Britton gets back in June. And things should be okay with them. They look like clearly the best team in the American League East right now.
I can't get behind Toronto. There's just not enough. I don't think they have enough pitching.
No, I don't
win the division.
I mean,
and I'm fading Tampa hard.
Ryu,
I don't think
Ryu is to me that he's not an ace. Okay, Pearson has to stay. Pearson has to prove that he can stay healthy. He looks like a good pitcher, but he has to prove that he can stay healthy because he hasn't been able to his first couple of years in the league. They don't have enough pitching. They can definitely hit the ball though. That's for sure. But big loss losing Kirby Yates. I mean, now they definitely don't have a closer. So I don't know what they're going to do about having a closer. Boston, Matt Barnes just tested positive for COVID, so God knows how long he's going to be out. And
Boston, they stink though. They're not doing anything.
I don't like Boston. Eduardo Rodriguez is being slow to come back. I don't know what the deal is with him. Sale's not going to be back probably until the middle of the season. And Nady Eovaldi is always getting hurt. They don't have a good bullpen. They can still hit the ball, But I don't see that team being much of a threat. The only team that I see as being a threat is Tampa Bay. Quite honestly, I know they lost Snell. I get that. I know they lost Morton, but they did make a couple of decent pickups. They picked up Charlie Morton, I'm sorry, the Braves
Charlie
Morton. But
yes.
they picked up Rich Hill, who, if he stays healthy, can definitely be effective out there. And I think they're gonna hang in there. I mean, they can definitely hit the ball. They're gonna have Randy Arozarena there the whole season.
Brad, I just don't think they can play the games they played with their bullpen.
No, they can't.
Was successful over 60 games, over 162 games. I think that's going to hurt them.
I think they'll still be good enough to make a run for a wild card for sure.
They'll make a run, but I don't know. I think that I think the American League is going to be. There's going to be a changing of the guard, so to speak, in the American League. I mean, obviously the Yankees are going to get there, but I think Toronto makes a wild card.
Yeah, I mean, Houston is going with a lot of young pitching this year. I mean, and we'll see what's going on with them. There's a lot of young pitching on that team, so we'll see if they're any good or not, because that's basically what it's gonna boil down to with them. I think Oakland right now is the class of the West.
You think? I'm in on the Angels. I'm on the Angels. I am. I'm picking the Angels to win the West.
I know they have Turner. I hear you. Turner and Trout. That's pretty damn.
Rendon and Trout.
Rendon and Trout. I'm sorry. Rendon and Trout. I mean, those are two very good players. But I mean, listen, it's to win that division. It's not going to be easy. The Astros still have some good players on their team. Oakland is still, in my opinion, the best team in that division. And Oakland's pitching is going to be healthy this year, so they're going to be tough to beat. Oakland.
I don't know. I think because the Angels have to get up and do something with Trout, and I think the division sets up well.
Yeah, but they still have no pitching.
Well, I mean, I'm interested to see the Ohtani factor, both offensively and on the mound. He's had a tremendous spring. I think he can really hit. If anything else, I think he's going to hit 25 home runs.
Well, but he's been a good offensive player anyway. That's not.
I understand, but I think he's going to be able to pitch, and I think he's going to be maybe if he pitches, say, every Sunday. I mean, he's probably going to win 10 games. No.
Yeah, probably. I mean, listen, when is he going to be able to pitch? Is he going to be able to pitch regularly to start the season?
I don't,
because I haven't really.
I don't know. It's a tough spot on how to use him because, like I do, I like his bat a lot.
Yeah, well, that's the whole thing. You don't want to. He's a valuable offensive player too, so you don't want to lose that and risk pitching him too soon and having him get hurt so that he can't hit either, because that would be tough to. That would be a tough loss. So,
but also regarding the Angels, I think one of the best moves that no one's really talking about is they traded for Reds closers Raciel Iglesias to kind of shore up the back end of that bullpen. I think that's a huge signing. I think that's going to pay dividends. I think that's going to be a big move.
They've been pretty solid at the back end of their bullpen. That hasn't really been. I mean,
you never have enough bullpen arms, especially when you have some shaky starters like they do.
Yeah, well, I don't like them because I don't like their starting pitcher. I think their starting pitching is awful, and I don't see how they can win a division with that with such bad starting pitching. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe some of these guys that I've never heard of are better than I thought, but I don't see that. I see them being very fortunate to come in third place and not come in. The only reason I think they don't come in last is because of the Texas Rangers, who are going to be a god-awful baseball team.
Yeah, I mean, I want to see Trout in the playoffs. So I'm going to pick the Angels. Maybe It won't happen, and maybe Oakland will get there. But I mean, Oakland's relying on a lot of young players. I think Semien was a big loss.
Semien had a bad year though last year. I think he only hit 204 or something like that.
I mean, okay, but I can give him a pass in the bubble.
I think that was part of the. I think that's why they let him go.
But they lost Liam Hendricks too.
Yeah, no, I know that. That was a big loss. I know they picked up somebody for the bullpen. I can't remember who. I know they picked up a reliever. I just can't remember who it was at this time. But they're still the team to beat by far. In that they have very good pitching too.
And then you go to the Central, which is always
That's a 2-team race between Minnesota and Chicago, and Chicago suffered a huge loss.
Eloy Jimenez. I mean, huge loss.
Yeah, I mean he's trying to catch a ball that's over the fence. I mean, and then he falls and he basically just rips apart his was it his back or his knee?
His pectoral muscle.
Okay, yeah. So I mean, it's really that was an unfortunate injury. I think that could end up costing the Sox that division. I mean, that's the kind of loss you can't make up for a guy like that.
I don't think so. I think they still win the division, but I mean, like I had them right there with the Yankees,
Yeah,
which I don't have anymore.
Minnesota's going to be tough too. Minnesota always seems to play everybody tough. So I would expect that they're going to be right there.
I think the Royals can surprise some people. I think they're going to be much closer to 500 than people think. I have the Royals over 72.5 wins.
I think they could put up 77 wins, the Royals.
They can hit. You have Mike Minor, you have Brady Singer. You got some signs of life there in Kansas City. And I don't know what to make.
Mike Minor was really bad last year though.
Yeah, in Texas on a bad team in the bubble. Like, look, Brad, let's just throw out last year. Let's throw it right out. If someone struggled last year, I can give them a pass because it was weird. It was 60 games. It was a bubble. There was COVID. There's all kinds of things.
Yeah, they didn't have
working against guys last year.
Yeah, they didn't have full spring trainings either. So I hear what you're saying, but you know,
Don 19. Do y'all have Houston making the playoffs? I don't have Houston making the playoffs. No. I don't think their bullpen's any good. I don't think their starting rotation's any good. And you lose a great player offensively and defensively like George Springer. I don't think Houston's making the playoffs this year.
Yeah, I would agree with you on that. I think at this point you got to look at Oakland, Chicago, Minnesota, Yankees, Tampa Bay, Toronto. I think those are the.
I'm trying to think of who my second wild card team is going to be. I guess I'll go Oakland because they always do seem to figure it out because they have great player development. I like Olsen. I like Chapman. I think Jesus Luzardo is a sleeper Cy Young candidate. Sean Manaea should be healthy.
They also have Frankie Montas too. Don't forget him.
Yeah, so I think that there's enough there. Ramon Lorano out in center field.
I think their pitching is by far the best in that division.
I mean, in the bullpen, you still have Petit, you still have Diekman. You still got some guys to get you outs later in the game. So I guess I'll go Oakland. So I'll go the Yankees, I'll go the White Sox, I'll go the Angels as my division winners. And I'll go Toronto and Oakland as my wild cards. Do you have an MVP and Cy Young thoughts on the American League, Brad?
Cy Young, Garrett Cole.
Shocker. Well,
I mean, I think right now he's the best pitcher in the American League. MVP, you know what? I'm gonna go with Gleyber Torres.
So you're going Yankee sweep. Yes. I think Trout. I'm gonna go chalk with the AL MVP. I'm gonna go Trout. I know that's not really stepping out of a limb like I like to do with these predictions, but if the Angels are going to win the division like I think they're going to, Trout's going to have to obviously have a monster year. AL Cy Young, I'm going to go Jesus Luzardo. I'll go sleeper there. I like him. I think he's a good player. I think this is his bust-out year. Quickly, because we got the Flight Zone coming up at 9:30. We're in overtime in the National League. I think the Dodgers and the Padres are the two best teams in the National League. I think the Padres win that division. I think the Dodgers are the first wild card.
Okay, well, I am going to be with you on that. I'm going to pick the Padres as well. Even though the Dodgers are the favorites, I just have a feeling that the Padres are going to come out with their hair on fire this year, and they're going to be a very, very difficult team to deal with.
I think Atlanta is absolutely stacked in the National League East. I think they win the East. As much as that pains me to say as a Phillies fan, I do think the Phillies grab a wild card, though. I think the Dodgers and the Phillies make wild cards because you got the Central there that stinks.
Well, I think St. Louis is okay. I think they're the best team in the Central Division.
Sure, I've been looking at Milwaukee, and I've been kind of
liking
what I'm.
Yeah, Milwaukee just doesn't have enough pitching.
I mean, you got Burns and Woodruff at the top.
Okay. They're okay, and they still have a very good bullpen. But
I'm picking the Brewers. I'm going to pick the Brewers in the NL Central.
They
edge out the Cardinals.
You're going to need a 40 to 50 home run season out of Christian Yelich for that to happen.
I think he struggled in the bubble last year. I think he's going to bounce back.
Yeah, I think he will too.
And you still have Hader and Devin Williams at the back end there, and I think they have just enough starting pitching. That's a one-team division. I mean, I look at the Cardinals' everyday lineup.
Yeah,
it's past Arenado and Goldschmidt. I mean, I don't.
Yeah, but
really see much.
It always seems like somebody always seems to get a big hit on that team, even though most of their guys after those two aren't that good. It just seems like somehow somebody always does something to help win games for them.
And then NL MVP and NL Cy Young, I guess. I think the Padres are going to win the World Series. I'm going to pick the Padres over the Braves in the NLCS. And I'm going to pick the Yankees over. I'll go Yankees over Angels in the American League.
I'm going to say the Yankees and the White Sox.
And then I like the Padres to take out the Yankees in the World Series. I just think the Padres are there's a well-built, constructed team.
Oh yeah, no, they really are an outstanding team. I like the kid at shortstop. I think he's going to end up. I like him as the MVP this year.
Don 19. I picked the Reds to win the NL Central the past 8 years. I feel like, and they always disappoint me. So I'm done picking the Reds in the Central. NL MVP, I'll go Bryce just because I love him. And if the Phillies are going to grab a wild card and edge out the Nationals and the Mets and all these other teams for the last wild card spot, Bryce is going to have to hit 40, 50 home runs. NL MVP, I hate to go NL Cy Young. NL Cy Young going Blake Snell. Switching leagues. He's going to have a chip on his shoulder after getting pulled like he did in the World Series.
Both you and I predicted that was going to happen last year.
Exactly.
And he's going to be gone because he was so angry when they took him out. I mean, I think that was the last straw. I happen to agree with you about Blake Snell. I think Blake Snell is going to be the Cy Young Award winner. I just think that the Padres this year are going to put it all together. I know on paper the Dodgers look like the team to beat. I hear that. I understand that. But you know what? It's not always about paper. I think the Padres are going to come out. They're a young team. They're going to come out emotionally charged. You got guys like Machado on the team who've never won anything in their career. He's just waiting to validate his career by getting to a World Series, and I just think that team's not going to get stopped. However, I do think that they lose to the Yankees in the World Series.
All right, that'll do it for the Sports Hounds here on Monday night. Thank you, Frank Vesby, for producing the show. Thank you for everyone who listened, followed, subscribed, liked, commented on our program. Thank you to our great sponsors, Specialized Physical Therapy, Sunrise Detox Center, and Body Check Wellness. Also, Philly Drinkers. Get all your merch at phillydrinkers.com. Click on the ATD Radio Collection. Flight Zone coming up next. Keep it right here. Triple header Monday night here. Monday Morning Quarterback. If you missed that, download, stream it wherever you get your podcast. If you missed the Sports Hounds, download, stream it wherever you get your podcast. And check out the Flight Zone in a few minutes here on A2D Radio. Until next Monday, peace out, everybody.